We in these streets. What's up, everybody? It's CMP with Craftmaster Productions and Studio1tutorials.com. Don't forget to stop by Studio One Tutorials. Pick up your premium membership. It is 50 cents a day. that's how we doing it, bro. Wait, we go. That's all you got? We need to get you. We need to get you on the sales tip. We need to get that Japanese platinum. Yeah, we gotta work on that, bro. So today, this week was another one of those like crazy Fridays where like a gajillion projects dropped, and it seems like the only thing that anybody listened to was the Meek Mill. And before we even step on that, I wanted to ask you, do you you can't hear MG? The fuck? How? Oh, no. It's me. Yeah. All right. All right. You guys hear MG now?
Hear me now? Test 1, 2, 3.
If not, I'm gonna have to restart OBS. Chat, somebody tell me, can you hear the brother MG?
You hear me? They can hear.
Yeah. I had my internet. I had my interface fucked up. So what I was gonna say was, because this is something that I ever since streaming became the dominant form of music delivery, I've been feeling it. But like now it seems like the average consumer is starting to feel it, and that is like, bro, when you've got 7 hip hop albums coming out a week, and now it's an every week thing. How are you experiencing that? Are you even able to like what does your music listening process look like now?
So, but it's the same effect. You're and gravitate towards the mainstream. You just have choices in the day. You know, Jay-Z, and Kanye, and 50 Cent album come out to all the where you consume. Let's put all people in the fold, and that helps. You're gonna skip. You're gonna beeline. Album came out, and you know those niche demographics will find with younger generation anything doing.
Yeah, I don't believe that it has hurt anything as far as as far as business. I think there's something different in the experience. That I think there's something definitely different in the experience. I don't think I've thought about it enough to articulate it. That's why I like streaming with you, because I think we could stumble across those things. But for example, September 29th 1998, it was my best cop ever. So I go to Best Buy and I pick up Jay-Z in My Lifetime Volume 2. I pick up Outcast Aquemini. I pick up Razzcast for Assassination. I pick up I pick up Black Star. So that was 5 albums. Those are 5 serious crazy. Yeah, hold up. Y'all say MG is choppy? Man, I'm gonna have to restart OBS. 1 second. We will return. Lyrical, production wise, there was a lot to dig into all of those albums. And the next Tuesday, there wasn't really anything that dropped. There wasn't anything for and I think that's what the difference is now. Is it's not so much a thing where there isn't maybe one day where there's one drop where there's a bunch of stuff. Before we had the ability to kind of catch up, you go around, listen to it in the car, you discover new songs, you see the video, the tour hits, you rediscover more and more of the album. now it feels like if we're gonna drop, you know, 6 albums this Friday, the next album got more, the next Friday has more 6 albums, even the ones that we like, that you know, that like how you're talking about, it breaks through. I don't feel like people really get to sit and digest it. And I feel like the evidence of that is, like, right now everybody's calling Meek's album of the year, but does it but does it sound better, than Victory Lap? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like Victory Lap was a very special, like super special project. Excellent album. It also came out in like January, February. So people,
early on.
So how is, you know, that is a difference. That is that is definitely a difference as far as the experience.
What about the money though? So like you say that, and I understand that, but most of the music we consume, let's say when like BET and MTV used to have countdowns, those were all paid positions. So we would, like you said, we spend a season with a project, with the music videos, with the radio play, and with the countdowns, and it'll be the same mainstream labels buying and promoting those spots. And then when the award shows come, it'll be only those albums represented in that particular infrastructure. It's a sleight of hand. I think it's tricking us. But the thing about old systems are they don't know how to change. I think it's the same exact thing. I think it's the playlist, for instance, when you go to Thorough on Tidal, or you go to Rap Caviar and Spotify, you have the same, you know, top 10 106 and Park countdown for the first 10 slots that are paid for and are held. I don't care, you know, if it's some dude with a podcast you think you can relate to because he responds to you on Twitter. I don't care if, you know, you think it's some kind of, you know, majestic thing to be part of. No, it's all paid for. So the difference in consumption is that the playlist, in the compilation of the playlist, is where the attention is. Like when Jay sent that shot at Billboard, right? Billboard doesn't match the most streamed playlists. So how are these songs, you know, representative of attention?
Right.
If the playlist is getting all the attention. So I think they just moved the game into a curated playlist instead of a top 10 or whatever. And as long as your song ends up in that somehow or another through time, you will get those streams, you will get the money. And that's how the corporations have adjusted to monetizing our attention. So they're playing little tricky games. They're trying to make us feel bad for them. Don't feel bad for them.
I don't think I feel bad for them. I think about it more of just more of my personal experience with music in general. You know, the loss of a physical product to connect with was definitely something that affected my experience with music for a long time. Like, I feel like I'm just now getting back into listening to music. Before, but before, when I had CDs, you know, you get the CD, you open it up, and you go and you read everybody who worked on the album. As somebody who created, like, I was interested in knowing who mixed the album. I was interested in knowing if when they came to Miami, they went to Hit Factory, or they went to Criteria, or they went to Circle House, or, you know, who produced this, who produced that. So now it's really cool. Like, you know, Tidal and Spotify has the credits. You can go look at that. But I don't like, I've been able to, you know, ride in the car and listen, you know, and actually listen to music. That was like the main place where I actually listened to music. I felt like recently, now that we have like YouTube choices and podcast choices, I started listening to more and more talking. So that was different. But just how long, like how long I'll sit with something, it's changed a lot, because there's always something new to listen to. There's always something new to talk about. I feel like now, because there's so many influencers and channels and podcasts, I feel like I guess what I'm getting at, the conversation about hip hop as a whole is different, and the people who you interact with is different. So I'm leading myself to like the Jay-Z verse on What's Free, right? This is such a dope song for so many reasons. And it was crazy how knee-jerk Twitter reacts, and they're like, yo, you know, they heard the word red hat and they're like, yo, it's a Kanye diss. And that was cool for, you know, knee-jerk Twitter to fuck with, because I understand understanding their mentality. Then you have members of knee jerk Twitter who work for blogs, and now they write the headline, and it's like, dude, like, bro, or you're not listening to the words. Like, he didn't say anything. Like, if you actually listen, and then it was crazy that buddy Jay-Z actually had to get on Twitter with his blue egg avatar and straighten it up. He's like, no, which I also thought that was cool, because he knows how important that is for
context is,
yeah, to say, like, listen guys, no, that's not it. Then people still wanting to get what they, and this is the other thing about, like, Twitter, like, and social media in general, like, once you get into an argument, like, you want to be right. So then they take, like, the next 4 bars about the hairpiece and the chains and everything, which he's talking about other rappers. He's not talking about Kanye, and they're all like, oh no, because you associate with Trump, and he said hairpiece, and it's like, dude, like, Jay knows what he's saying when he raps, and
it's like a triple entendre.
Yeah, man. And Trump does not have a hairpiece. He's talking. Right. He's talking about whichever one of them label heads that has a hairpiece. That's who he's talking about. And I feel like the speed of music consumption directly affects that, because it's not like we're listening to this stuff in order to see the art in it, in order to decode the double entendre, in order to really appreciate the rhyme schemes. We're listening to it in order to have an opinion and share it. Do you see that?
So hold on. So if we rewind it in time, and you put yourself back in high school, carrying around those big books with CDs in it,
2 hundos.
Remember going into, like, the lunchroom and looking at someone else's CDs, right? A couple of strange phenomenons happened. We had a phenomenon of, there's certain pages in your CD book that no one else has, right? There might be, like, someone might have the Fugees, Tribe Called Quest, and all this other stuff. You might have Rough Riders, Cash Money, Master P, right? So we've always had those differences of groups, even without social media.
Right.
If you took the social media in real life, everyone's car CD changer looked and sounded different. So what I think is happening is, our contrarians, or the people, like you were saying, that have blogs and have interests, are using social media correctly. They've earned the loudest voice. They have the loudest voice. Therefore, they seem the most influential. But I still see so many people deviate. I see, like, regular people just go, Anderson .Paak, Little Baby. I still see the difference. The thing is, the retweets and the mechanism is those voices that me and you talk about and get sick of. But I pay attention to that just like you do, but I'm actually paying more attention to the people who are not talking about it, and how many of my friends aren't retweeting it, and how many people are kind of like, yo, that J verse was crazy, but whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. It's cool. Like it's the cafeteria at lunch. That's what Twitter is. It's only that. But when you go home and ride the bus or walk down the street, it's a different environment. So no, I don't put too much more weight into it than we would have done if it was VH1 MTV with Carson Daly.
You don't, because you're a smart guy and you have a certain wisdom about you. However, bro, not everybody is so blessed. And that's what I think about. That's what I think about.
Think about the programming and the
I'm obsessed with that, bro. Because I feel bad for my people then. But anything else on the album that stuck out to you? I know that I have. I thought it was cool that it was kind of like, I mean, even though it's not the sample back album, but it kind of is the sample back album, because that's the narrative. It kind of reminds me, it's not going to be this impactful, but you remember when Blueprint came out, what was happening before Blueprint? Like before Blueprint, it was Swizz Beatz and Manny Fresh time. It was
Swizz Beatz type beats.
Yeah, it was Triton time. It was it was Rolling time. It was a lot of performed and not sampled hip hop, and I feel like hot take. I feel like Blueprint's a super overrated album, because when it came back, it filled a hole. Like it went back to hip hop's identity, and then I feel like people overreacted to it. But that's I feel like I feel like Meek's album, the new one, like even like even you see someone like Illmind tweet like, "Yo, this album is a really important album." He didn't put any context to it. Then when I heard it, I'm listening to, I'm listening to all the samples. I'm like, "Oh, okay, this is the sample back album." But it was interesting because it wasn't like Blueprint in that they went and sampled, soul records and did that. They went. And
it was like Blueprint and they sampled Blueprint.
Yeah, it was like Blueprint. And they sampled Reasonable Doubt. I mean, dude, they took Getaway and just gave it different drums.
Yeah,
which
it's what I made that whole video about struggle beats and struggle producers.
Yeah,
that album sounded, from a production standpoint, like just the beat making aspect and me being over analytical. It sounded like there's a lot of struggle beat makers on that album.
Yo, but when you say
they're bad,
yeah, I was about to say
the concept of struggle beat making. Yeah.
What is the concept of struggle beat making? I want you to unpack that because I know when certain people hear it, they'll automatically throw a negative connotation to it, and I don't think that's fair.
I think it should be both. I use it as a controversial term to joke about myself and to joke about the production that I hear that I know that's kind of like what is that word that we use, like, for expected behavior in music production? Like oh, that's what they did?
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, you don't expect nothing different from someone. So I call it a struggle beat because, or all the struggle beats. The first time I did, I was showing how people were taking R&B samples from the 90s, adding an 808 that follows it. We can use chord track or whatever. And then they do the generic Metro Boomin hi-hat pattern and some kicks and snares. And those drum textures don't change. The buildups don't really change. The arrangements are all the same. It's a struggle beat. And what's happening is people are hyping it up, and there's other producers trying to figure it out. They're struggling to make that kind of music. I'm like, why are you struggling to make struggle beats? They're struggle beats. They're 5-minute to 10-minute struggle beats. So let's talk about this album. Like you said, you heard the Getaway Mobb Deep sample, right? And then you hear, some splice hi-hats and 808 and a snare. That's a struggle beat to me. I make those in 5 minutes. You do too. So those are struggle. That's what I call struggle beats. So it's not like, you had to overexert yourself and like you watch the Deconstructed. And the deconstruction is more struggle than making the beat. Oh yeah, I don't play by ear and I don't have Melodyne really, so I had to figure it out in the piano roll.
Yo, because they got to struggle to fill up the content with that shit, dude. Because if they showed you how they really made that beat, that's a short Deconstructed.
Thank you. So that's what I mean by the struggle beat production era. It's not giving. It doesn't take away the value of it. It's just me being a little maniac about how production is these days. Like, I can do that struggle shit in my sleep. Okay, struggle beats.
Yeah, but how it is. You know how it is. If someone's successful, if you don't call them a genius, then you're a hater. My bad for cutting you off.
No, but you were saying that you're worrying about the rest of the people though. So that's why I do it, because I worry about the kids who think that's a level that they have to achieve after 10,000 hours of mastery, and it's not.
Oh no, that's one of those steps up to 10,000 hours of mastery.
Yeah.
Like once you get your 10,000 hours, and that's when you realize that it's struggle. Good. I'm glad you broke that down. I never heard you break it down like that. That's awesome. Yeah, I thought I don't know if well, I mean, you know how it is, bro. If we're talking about it's getting the album of the year, album of the week title, and I think the dominant like oh shit songs from that album are the sampled songs. I mean, they reflipped In the Air of the Night, which was actually good. I like the way that they did it. They reflipped a couple of Reasonable Doubt songs, which was awesome. Which he probably got the bootleg hookup because.
Did you try to pay attention to the drum patterns?
Oh, of course I paid attention to the drum patterns.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's why I was waiting for the producer credits to come out, because I got questions.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, bro. I was very sad that the drum patterns aren't. I mean, not the drum. That the producer credits aren't up. I want to know who my Go subs are.
Me too.
Drop a comment, bros. Leave a like.
Who are you, Go sub?
Tripping. But yeah, bro. So. Can we hold on 1 second? Westboy wants to know, can we talk about the audio though? The album just sounds low on the lyrics. I'll try to go back and listen. But man, I don't know who mixed Guru mixed and mastered the album, so because his name's attached to it, he's get, you know, instantly it's a lot of praise because that's knee jerk Twitter's reaction.
Yeah.
As somebody who listens to mixes and follows engineers, I thought that it was cool that Guru went outside of his box. Like the mixes that, like, if we're gonna nerd out on and talk about Guru, I definitely appreciate and recognize that he took a more modern approach to mixing. You know, like the 808 is big, fat, and loud. You know, it sounds like it sounds like a more modern album. And less of like the tame. It sounds like he broke some of his own rules and tried some new things. And I thought that was really great. And I also think to really appreciate it, guys. A lot of people don't know this, is when you listen to it on Bluetooth devices, that really, like, Bluetooth wrecks audio. Like it wrecks audio. Like you're not hearing. It's the reason why I don't have Tidal hi-fi, because the only time I really listen to Tidal is in my car, and it's not the same.
Yeah, I'm saying.
Yeah, whenever I like whenever I'm going to like set up to as somebody who mixes and somebody who produces and somebody who cares what things sound like, whenever I go to like really listen to something, I plug in an aux to my interface, and I listen to it out of my monitors like that, the way it's supposed to be. Because if you go Bluetooth, shit just sounds weird, in my opinion. What'd you think about the mixes?
First thing I did was reach out to him. I reached out to Guru, and he didn't give me a lot of time because, you know, they're out there in South Africa.
Yeah.
But he responded to me, and he name dropped a few plugins that of course we've all reviewed or have used. So what that told me in that short, because I said something about Little Kodak and people who've historically mixed Little Kodak, and then him mixing Kodak Black. And then
huge difference, by the way.
Huge difference, right?
Do you know if he tracked him?
I don't think so.
Because I noticed the first thing that I noticed, I would love to know, like, if he catches this and he responds to you, but I would love to know, like, did he cut any of Kodak's backing tracks? Because, like, and this is a Broward thing from way back. Like, the Broward rappers will do so many ad-lib stacks and little yeet skirts and all this shit in the background, and not only that, like, when they do their double ups, it won't be like on time, like an Eminem double up, and that shit is a mess, and a lot of the times they want you to keep it. And whenever I would get their mixes, like, I would delete a lot of their shit, you know what I mean, and just see what I could get away with, because it would make the timing sound better. And I noticed on his verse, like, that shit, everything sounded clean, lined up. I'm just wondering if he had to do like a lot of chopping and splicing and putting that shit in.
That's exactly what I wanted to ask him, those kind of nerdy questions. Yeah.
Cause yeah, you said that he made him sound different, and what do you talk about?
I didn't even say he made him sound different. I say he made him sound like a star. So he went from like mixtape Kodak, in my opinion, on other songs, to like album Kodak.
Yeah.
And you can hear his diction and everything.
Yes.
So I want to find out more. Hopefully he reaches out to me when he's done with what they're doing out there on the continent. But what I internalize from all that, I think what's also different about this album is I think it's an in the box mix. So when we think about Blueprint and stuff, all that stuff's SSL.
Yeah.
You know, he's a Pro Tools guy.
Yeah.
But he's also an Ableton guy now too. So I'm curious to see if he mixed any of that in Ableton. So I can hear that it's digital. It sounds like us. It just sounds like it's a good reference for you if you're in the box and you're making stuff at home and you want to figure out what the mainstream version of that sounds like without all the hype. Now, the depth and the 3D and all that stuff that we used to love, I kind of think like him and other engineers are kind of punted that away because, like you said about the Bluetooth issue. So it's kind of like it's a lot of extra value and time to put into something that's not required by the market.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because I feel like that's what I feel like he broke some of his rules and put his focus on other things with it. That's probably a big piece of it. And I think a lot of the engineers of that ilk and caliber and have that type of illustrious career, they've kind of figured it out. I mean, it seemed like so many people were afraid and just against of going 100% in the box, and just urban music being so dominant in the playlists and in the streaming world, and using engineers who didn't care about shit like that, and then it translating it, and the whole everything's going through an earbud or a Bluetooth speaker or something like that. It's like, bro, like, why are we even trying? Like, why are we striving for this? There's no point.
You think the earbuds and the Bluetooth thing is the excuse, or do you think it's that they seen that people are just getting money regardless?
Both of them.
Okay, yeah. I was about to say, I think like you make decisions like that because like if the Atlanta, for instance, hmm, they're not necessarily known for their sonic clarity in a lot of those mixtapes and things that we love. So it's not like, when they praise an engineer in Atlanta, you're like, oh my God, what plugin are they using? You're kind of like, meh.
Yeah,
okay.
no, the engineers the engineers in Atlanta get praised for like their signature vocal chains per artist.
Yeah.
They get a lot of props for that, and they get a lot of props for flipping fucking 2 tracks and making
Yes.
it and make it 2 tracks interesting. That is a
For
super
being co-producers.
Yeah,
they're getting credit for being co-producers.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time in this world where we compared anything to the Chronic, man. You know what I mean? Like
No.
there's not like that moment is frozen in time. So that's why I've been kind of like, I haven't really been an advocate for like learning how to mix and master to that level, because you're finding yourself making beats that have been normalized to sound, make sure you high pass everything and your 808s are kicked.
No, dude, I completely agree with that train of thought, because it's like, yo, I was listening to a 90s playlist, and it was so crazy every time like a Death Row Dr. Dre record came on, like you listen to like Cream, or Chief Rocker would come up, and then Keep the Heads Ringing would pop on, and it's just a much wider signal, fatter in the low end and everything, such a noticeable difference in quality. And then you go listen to a new playlist, and it's just 808 that sounds like a fart in the voice. You know what I mean? Like, as long as you got the and the auto tune right, like, you're straight, bro. Like, you made the playlist, you're good. What are we really doing out here with all that? So
nothing. Having fun.
Yeah, that's having fun. So that's interesting that he went on to tell you about those plugins that we had reviewed and everything. And it kind of, what plugins did he mention? Just for the
Nectar 3.
Nectar 3. Okay, so he's using Nectar 3.
At least that.
See, and that's and the reason why I wanted to get specific is because I had a moment when I was, I had all the plugins and everything when I was like first starting to like try to get serious with mixing and get clients and everything, and I had, my fundamentals, and I knew how I wanted to use specific plugins, and this was when Dave Pensado stuff had just first started.
Yeah.
Right. And I start watching his Into the Layers, and I'm like, holy shit, he's using like a super similar chain as me. Like, he's using the same stuff. And that right there just gave me so much confidence. Like, yo, he's got this stuff. He sees it this way. I see it this way. We have, we're both seeing the same thing here. So yeah. now it's just a question of doing it, chasing it, and wanting to get after it. So that's really good to know for you guys out there that are downloading these plugins. I had an interaction with Buddy Curtis, who he was asking about. He was on Twitter. He's like, yo, I need a declipping plugin. And it made me laugh, because I'm just like, bro, declipping plugin, bro. You need a crossfade. You know what I mean? And it's like, there's so many things that we could do within our DAW in the arrange window with the basic tools that we have, but our fundamentals get lost because the plugin market is such a place where they're trying to hack every little thing, and it's almost like infomercial land,
It's like YouTube.
Yeah, but like how you get an infomercial where it's like, have you ever tried to boil pasta? And then it shows the lady and she's putting water and she spills it on herself. She's like, oh no, I can't boil pasta. And it's like, bitch, we've been boiling pasta for 200 years, bro. Like we don't need the pasta boiler. Dude, it's the same thing with some of these plugins. You know what I mean? Like you don't need
All of them.
you don't need a declicker to match up a couple regions, man.
Hold
So
on, hold on. Before we go to that next part, because I think that's where it is. That's where the market is. That's where our hobby is. That's where our professionalism is. That box you just framed for us is that you don't need A to get to B. So why do we have it, or why do we lust or desire those things? And I think it's very similar to like if you go hooping and you play basketball and you look at like the people who are good and the kind of sneakers they wear, and then you look at the people who aren't so good but are excited and the kind of shoes and clothes that they wear. And then you got to be somewhere in the middle where you understand like, all those leg and arm bands on a outdoor court aren't really going to help you. You're not Iverson, but you'd have to understand that why that person connected with Iverson. And then the same thing on the other side, that person
so are
you
you
don't know.
hold on? So are you asserting that buddy with the headband and the armband and the leg band and the $20 Nike socks really can't hoop?
In most cases, he can't hoop like the buddy who's just wearing,
Yeah.
the simple check mark on the side, the beater, and the old Hardaways or something. He hasn't watched them in 2 years, and he run up and he jumped 20 feet in the air, and you're like, there's obviously a difference between these two guys.
Yeah, I think that's I think now that we're post Black Friday, talking about plug-in hangover, I had a very special Black Friday because this was the first Black Friday that I sat back and I was like, you know what, bro, like I don't need nothing, so I'm not spending money with nobody this year because a lot of cool things came out, and there was some stuff that I looked at that I was like, hey, it might be nice to have that. But when I sat and thought about it, I was like, I don't want to repeat. I don't want to repeat any purchases, even if it is a $1 thing. You know what I mean? Even if it is like a $5 deal. I have Romplers, I have EQs, and I hope
you're getting old.
Yeah, I'm getting old. I hope that the people that we're speaking to, because we do all these plugin reviews and everything like that, when they get to a section that they have the deals, because I'm getting old, but it didn't take me that many years to get to this point. It probably took me 4 years of buying to get to get all the shit that I needed.
Brother, rephrase that. It took you 4 years of buying. You're old. Because the young kids don't have 4 years of buying anything.
Facts. No, that's facts.
So when we talk about like plug-in diarrhea or plug-in overdrive, once you check your bank statement after a few Black Fridays, you don't get to that point. You're like, yo, relax. I got all the compressors this year. I didn't buy no compressors this Black Friday. I'm good on compressors.
Well, let me take the focus off me and let me take the focus off a sub. I have a sub. His name is his name is Matthew, right? And he hits me up constantly. He might be 17 this year. He has a job working in a grocery store. You know what I mean? He's a hustler. He's out there taking everybody's shifts. You know what I mean? Investing all of his money to buy legit plugins, right?
Good.
So I set him up. I'm like, okay, like if I was 16, I would get this and this and this and this. So he got to the point, and this is where he was gonna start duplicating. You know what I mean? Like, and I was like, bro, you got Arturia, you got Ozone, you got Melodyne, you got Easy Keys, and he started asking me about more shit, and I'm just like, dude, like it's time to make music now, bro. Like now it's time to sit your ass down and just work with all that shit that you got. And I would just like to even though I would like people not to make my mistake. Of just, because for a time I did, just like everybody, most people, I'm not gonna say everybody, but just like most people, I did the pirated plugins, had a laptop with everything. Then I was like, all right, I ain't gonna do this shit anymore. I'll buy everything, and that's what I'm talking about. It took me the 4 years But like you're saying, it took me more like a decade to figure out what it was, the shit that I actually needed.
Yeah, brother. It's just part of age. It's not, and I don't mean age like your body. I mean age like as a producer.
Yeah.
So you're an old producer. So um, I think because we're talking about Black Friday, because we're talking about that energy that's in the air with the plug-in game, I think I get excited about it because there's so many people who don't have this stuff I have already.
Right.
So I don't ever approach it that way. Because people are going to ask you, like you said, like Matthew, and everyone's going to ask you questions. I try my best to answer them. And if it's something I'm interested in, I'm getting it. I don't care if I use it 2 months later. I'm interested because I feed off of that energy. You know how like some people are inspired certain ways?
Yeah.
Like if you will up in energy, like the first time you opened up Omnisphere and you think about those first beats you made, I live for that. I don't live for like the utility of Omnisphere. It's OD. It's like 10,000 presets. There's no utility in that. You know, Swiss Beats uses the same snare. Like,
Yeah.
there's no utility in all the blap kits, but the excitement of getting a new blap kit, for instance, is an example. And those beats you make that weekend, I think is an exciting experience for the kid part of the producer in you.
Yeah.
Now, when it's time to become a professional, there's a different equation that happens, right? Because then you're going, I need utilities for a task or for a job. And most of the times, depending on your demographic and who you're working with, you may already have those utilities and don't require the crazy stuff. And then you might be like at a studio or something, and people be like, yo, I hate the way autotune sounds. Do you have Melodyne? Or I hate the way that Melodyne sounds. Do you have Waves Tuner? This is the settings we use. And then you find yourself with 3 tuners.
Yeah.
So of course, there's always going to be different levels for different devils. But I wholeheartedly agree with the fact that the older you become as a producer, you start to like you start to get like, you know, the Matrix. There is no spoon. You start to go like, the fuck, like I don't need a SSL channel strip on every drum. Like that's a cool idea because you think you're getting an SSL mix, but when you hear it, you're like, that beat I just made that didn't mix anything sound is hitting harder. So let me figure out the difference. Let me figure out what I'm doing too much of. But you can't teach that on Black Friday.
Nah, you can't teach that on Black Friday. Yeah, because it was just I was seeing a lot of I see a lot of conversations when especially when people get into the mixing aspect of it, because it's so easy to get enamored with the tools when it comes to mixing, because everything is so visual. But I never hear people talk about, or I don't see a lot of people talking about what they're actually hearing anymore. Yeah. And that just as somebody who's made that leap, it just it doesn't like bother it doesn't like make me mad or anything, but I feel bad for people, because it's just like, oh, you're still in the sunken plug-in place, trying to trying to figure out what VST is going to get you the best stereo separation for your mid-side EQ, and the whole issue that you're having is that your snare's too loud, champ. Just turn that bitch down, you'll be fine.
The sunken place for plugins.
Yeah, dude.
I'm always in the sunken place for plugins. That's hilarious. I finally know what it is.
No, yeah,
I have a name for it, man.
Yeah, bro, your brand is the sunken place for plugins, bro.
My channel is the sunken place for plugins. Oh God, but yeah, I understand that in terms of discipline, like the discipline and productivity, like actually getting busy. Like when you're getting busy, you don't have time to like review or get to a lot of these things. That's why I like the fact that I'm learning how to do both. Like I'm learning how to be productive with a certain formula, and then I'm learning the new stuff at the same time. But that takes like, you have to, like I see a lot of people doing the 30-day beat challenge. Like you have to try one of those. You have to push yourself. Like all those new plugins you got on Black Friday, put those in your favorite folder and just use them for 30 days straight, make 30 beats, and then really evaluate what's worth it or not. And then a lot of times these plugins, which is better than yesteryear, because a lot of them have 30-day trials. So that's way different than it was when we started. So there's a lot of advantages to the current market. So I don't feel bad about it. But like you have your template in Studio One, for people, because you're going down this road of saying efficiency and learning what works. Do you ever change that template, and why?
I change it all the time. Like I change it all the time. I think that every year or two, I find a different 808, right? Because there seems to be, even though the conventional wisdom is that the spins 808 you can use on anything and it sounds good. I find that the vibes of 808s change every couple years. So and because I don't want to use the exact same one that everybody is using, but I'll find the thing that's closest to it, like whoever designed it well. I'll change that. I switch out my snares in my drum template. Depending on what I'm doing, like if I'm going more, because I'll go through seasons. I'll go through like a season of like I'm gonna do like a sample type of sound, and then I'll go through a season of like omnisphere vibes. And my omnisphere drums are different from my sample type drums, right? So I'll do that, and then my instrument bus will change, because I'll go from omnisphere output type of vibes to the more to like the Arturia stuff. So right now I'm in Arturia mode. Everything is a spoof of an analog synth, because really the way I work when I'm not on YouTube is I don't use plugins anymore. That's my biggest like dirty little secret is
hey, I need you. Watch your mouth. Calm down, brother. Calm down.
Yeah.
You ruined my business. Because me too, damn it. Me too.
Yeah, I don't fuck with plugins, man. I choose to create, like, now that I have the polysynth and the monosynth. But that's what drives the template change. I think now I finally got it tweaked to a point where I don't have to add anything anymore. The only thing that I'm going to switch out is the VSTs and the samples.
I'm getting to a point where I almost want to like not use virtual instruments.
Yeah, it's a good place.
Because there's a myriad of reasons for this, but there's just like I guess we could talk about that real quick. Like because there's so many people who create samples, like. And this is the part that people get like this. I don't know if you get this kind of feedback, but I just got a comment today on an old YouTube video, which is always interesting. The brother had said, scalar is cool and all, but don't lie and say it helps you learn music theory faster. And then I guess I had to qualify faster than what? Faster than the rest of your life learning it by ear? I don't understand what's faster than what. We got to qualify that. So I started thinking about what kind of person needed scalar, and then, how I use scalar versus how it was made. They're two different things, right? So as I unwind that and I go into the box of why I got half the tools I got half those tools for sampling. And then at the same time, we have this controversy around sampling. And then as everyone's trying to figure out whether or not they're going to sample or not, we have Instagram and Facebook and YouTube demonetizing people for sampling not copyrighted music, but music that's represented and actively being hunted by this AI. So two different things.
Yeah.
So you have that, and then you have the proliferation of sample pack websites and U's and Me's and Illminds and everybody else, right? And then I get into my super sunken place where I have everything. What do I do today? And I go, everything that I've learned is to sample, so let me sample more. I can't sample the soul no more. It doesn't make sense. And there's nothing in the 90s I really want to sample that I can't play by hand, so that doesn't make sense. I'm stuck with the world of tomorrow, which are the sample packs, right? And as I start to use them, I notice my decision-making changes. I go, oh, this is a solid starting point. Let me put a hi-hat loop under there, right? And then thanks to you put me on the looperator. So I was like, oh, let me sauce it up. It's not just a static loop no more. And then I go, I know how to program 808s. I know how to follow chord track if I need it. And then I realize that I'm almost done with an idea in 5 minutes. And then the rest is the arrangement and the mixing, so to speak. And then I go, this beat fucking hits just as hard than if I would have had to figure out Omnisphere, Waves, Neutron, and everybody else. But another human got me there faster. Now, I don't know how far that road takes me because, if anything does pop off, you got to worry about credits if it's really royalty free and things like that, right? But in the interim, and just in terms of building up back catalog and having things for my little brother to rap on or, get the random emails if y'all want to buy that, I could probably make those 10 times faster. So I guess the conversation is going to change is like, are you emphasizing on the perfection of the craft and being able to do that from scratch? Or are you trying to perfect efficiency? Like, where do you fall in that? I feel like I feel weird when I say that out loud. Like people think like That's so.
Yeah, no, I've with the perfection of efficiency, and the perfection of efficiency has led me to going out of the box because everything that you just said, boom, I have the same skill set. And the reason why I bought the reason why it's probably the same reason why you bought Melodyne, right? Like once you found out that there was something that could give you the MIDI data to an entire sample, and you could see the bass line, and then you were like, all right, now I got the bass line. That was the whole reason why I got Melodyne, was to do sample based bass lines. And then from that, we got the different MIDI tools. But now we have all these MIDI tools that go MIDI out. So my problem, I've always liked hardware. I've always liked it way better. And now that I could go MIDI out with USB, with a Cthulhu or a Scalar or an Easy Keys, or all that shit, and now I can get these awesome analog tones. It brings me back in. So I've went to this level of VST efficiency. And just yesterday I was hunting down this fucking stupid ground loop. I went to Guitar Center. I bought 2 power conditioners, and it wound up being the outlet that I was plugging my my laptop into. So I finally got that fixed. But the issue of efficiency doesn't bother me, because I don't believe, and I never have believed, that time is what makes the music great. It's your taste that what makes the music great. Like that's the other dirty little secret. If you don't have great taste in music, in tone and in timbre and things like that, like you're not really gonna make something that translates into being considered great, because you're not gonna know how to pick it out to put it together. That's always going to be your problem. You're always gonna have weird sounding beats. So to me, I already have that, and I have confidence in that, right?
Yeah.
So the thing that what I didn't have confidence in, and this is what I always try to preach on my channel, is you don't make your weakness a strength. You make your strength a superpower.
Facts.
Right? Superheroes have superpowers, and you want to be a super producer, so you need to have a superpower. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to sit here and try to become a great pianist or a great guitar player. I'm going to get a motif that has the guitar arps that make it sound like a real guitar player. You know what I'm saying? Then I'm going to send that back into my DAW, and I'm going to process it, because that's my strength. You know what I mean? Running into a superpower. And a lot of people, not just you, a lot of people have a problem with that. Like when the whole making 3 beats a day or 10 beats a week discussion was going on, and a lot of people were talking that, but how many of those are keepers? Like, bitch, they're all keepers. Yeah. I promise you, they're all keepers. The difference between me and you, that one is that you don't think that you could do it. 2, you believe you believe that the time that you spend in it is what creates the quality of it, and it's not that. It's how well you know your rig, and the type of confidence that you do have with your taste. And that's why I don't have any type of problem with with efficiency versus pushing the music forward, because whenever I get into that bag and I want to, and I'm like, all right, I'm going into, because I have 2 different production bags. Like I have like the efficient, give you what you want, and then I have what I call like my selfish stuff, which will be like I have 2 beat tapes ready to go. I'm working on a 3rd one. They'll be everywhere. They're gonna be called All the Smoke Volume 1 until whatever. And my attitude going into these things is, I want to make selfish music. I want to remind you guys that I'm not just a fucking YouTube teacher, but I'm actually like one of the best motherfuckers doing this shit. You know what I mean? And I believe in it. It doesn't matter if you get placements on an album, or or other rappers co-signing you or nothing. Like, no, we're just talking about making beats, bro. And and I make slaps. And I think that is that competitive element. It's very important to bring to the table, but it has its place, and that goes back to the whole efficiency versus pushing everything forward. And I think that's where the weirdness might come from.
rendering properly. It started fuzzing on my side.
Oh, okay. But do you
But
get?
yeah, I agree with I go ahead.
No, I was saying, do you think that's where some of the weirdness comes from, or do you experience it differently?
I think I've come to a very similar conclusion as you. I notice in particular the beats I make on YouTube are never the same kind of beats I can make when I don't care. Like you're saying, your selfish bag. Um, I could tap into a really scary place as a producer if no one's watching, right? So I've always known that, and it's even worse when a person knows what they want. But because because of YouTube, because of the purists, because of UNESCO, because of these arguments, because of these things, I started to feel the shade and the temperature of what I do as a producer change. And I go, okay, well, I need to start releasing music then that shows you that you're not just talking to a guy messing around with C minor on the keyboard. So I need people to understand why I know what I know, and I think I've done a shitty job demonstrating it like in a serious way. Because because you know how it is. Like if you've ever had to edit a video, you don't want a hour or 2 hour video to edit down in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
No one does. So if I have to like hit an objective to show certain features in a plugin, make sure we hear a few presets. Maybe there's a simple arrangement so people can get the idea of what they can do. And most of the times I lower my power level down for the people who are watching who feel like there's potential that they could do better than me. I do that intentionally because I'm not here to shit on people. But I think entering into 2019 with all this stuff that we've heard released and all that, I feel like, and I'm learning this from you, I feel like I can shit on everything that's coming out this year.
Yeah,
that's just a feeling.
Yeah,
that's
it's
just a
time,
feeling.
bro. No, it's doo-doo time, bro.
Yes.
I feel like I feel like the people who have that in them, you know what I mean? Like it's time to, because it's just like, why do we have this, bro? We could do whatever we want. You know what I mean? Like we don't have to slow it down. We don't have to dial it back. We don't have to pull a punch. You know what I mean? Like we don't have to. So it's just like I feel like, yo, like, if I'm not gonna strive for placements, if I'm gonna put my effort towards making music libraries and and making samples and getting bags like that, well, now I'm more free not to try to cater to an artist, because here's the thing, right? So when I was doing it before, everything was a thought of like, yo, I'm gonna do this so that a rapper will rap on it. The way that I chose to do my arrangements, the way that I had the songs drop out, the way that I had the hi-hats arranged, and everything was about, if I was writing the song, I was producing it like a rapper would make a beat. That's how I would produce everything. And I might not put a 16 bar intro with a slow build into the music or something like that, or I might wait to have that awesome beat change up, because like, no, that's halfway through a rapper's verse. They need to finish what they're saying, and then maybe this will be where the featured artist comes on. Like, now I'm not having those thoughts anymore. I'm not doing that. Wherever I hear the change, that's where the change is going to happen. If I hear like a funny sampled scream, I'm not going to consider the rapper. I'm going to put the crazy horror scream in there. You know what I mean? Like anything I want to do, I'm putting it on, and then on top of it, I'm releasing it. I'm releasing it on my own. Like we're in a place right now with all these producers talking about the producer's the most important element in rap music, which I don't agree with, because you can't make rap music without rap. So there's that. But if you feel that way, then release your music. You know what I mean? Like let's see, because I'm gonna do it. Like I'm gonna do it. Like let's see what you guys got. Let's see if you could make an instrumental album that people will pay attention to. I'm gonna try. Fuck that shit.
Absolutely.
And in doing so, I'm doing it with a competitive mind state, because that's just how I experience everything. That's kind of like my natural state.
I think it's everybody once they have permission. A lot of people don't have permission to think or feel that way, and that's why we get stuck in the creative crutch. We had this old forum conversation, and I remember it plain as day. And I guess that's why I'm so rigid when people want to debate it with me in the comments. And I remember like all the great producers that went out of the forums and translated to real life. We were all on a thread called Creativity Crutch, and they're saying how people or producers or beat makers back then who were the most creative, they used to always bicker about the kids who were number one on SoundClick or the ones that had the most collaborations with actual rappers. And the argument was that they were creative, that they were doing something different, that, you know, everything that you still see today, 20 years later. And then someone made a thread saying, is creativity a crutch? And I read all the arguments and I kind of like internalized them. So when I turned that off in my own brain, when I turned the creativity crutch off, and I went into beast mode, I just sell beats quicker, bro. So I don't like what that feels like, but YOLO. That's all I'm going to say about it.
Yeah, it's funny that you said that, because I find like the good, like, well, what people would consider the good placements that I've made, they've always come off of my selfish bag, and it's always been surprising. Like, I know that I'm gonna get ready to submit beats to somebody, and I'll go listen to their album and I'll start making that person type beats, and then those person type beats, they won't sell to the person that you're bringing them to. They want your, what I considered my weird stuff. And it was strange, because that guidepost had popped up to me, like, that's, that little, universal, like, hey, maybe you should pay attention to this, tap on the shoulder. Like, it had popped up like maybe 5 times. Didn't start paying attention to it until just recently, until after a conversation that me and you had. And I think that for me, the permission that you talk about, and I think everybody's permission is different, when they finally feel it. But for me, the permission was, you know what, I'm not gonna do this for rappers anymore. As far as creating music, I'm not gonna do it for rappers anymore. My following, my following isn't rappers. The people I interact with, my circle, that's what my old circle used to be. So I was stuck in that mentality. Now my circle is a producer circle. Like, so why am I still worried about rappers? And I think that's a funny place that a lot of producers find themselves in, is their idea of making it, or acceptance, or just that good feeling that they get from music. Like, the best feeling they could get from music is from somebody saying they want to rap on their beat. And I'm just like, fuck that, bro. I don't fucking care if you want to rap on my beat. I don't care anymore. That's not what I'm gonna base, like, is this a good record or not? Because I know what a good record sounds like. I know that. It's not important that that somebody else knows that, because listen to the shit you're rapping on anyway, bro. You don't really got good taste, You're rapping on, like you rap it, like you rap it on trash, bro. I'll murder your favorite producer. No, dude, I don't fucking care, bro. Like, I don't care anymore, dude. Like, I will murder these boys.
What's crazy about that is that, yeah, man, I have adjusted my personal tuner, and I'm starting to super analyze new stuff, and then, like, because I have so much of the old stuff stuck in my brain, I figure out, what fat I had to trim out of my old exercises, and like just getting really super focused on the kind of music I want to make, or the kind of, like you were saying, you like how you do the transition maybe too late in the song or whenever you want to. I'm the same way. I love bridges, but you don't hear bridges in today's music. So I'm learning to experiment with that. I just love having a good start, bro. Like, if I can have a good start in a beat, like if I can start hitting all cylinders in the first 5 to 10 minutes, whether a dope sample got me there or a nice hi-hat loop got me there, as long as I'm feeling it the first 5 to 10 minutes, bro, I'm out. I'm out of here.
That's
and
important.
What's happening is, like, with Splice and the similar, like, I kind of want to sign up for all of them for a few months so I could feed Synonym. Like, I want my Synonym to have a whole bunch of stuff to look through. But I feel like, there's an ungodly amount there's a bro. I was on Splice and I looked at like just guitar loops, right? And it was like something to the effect of 20,000. Bro, I ain't got 20,000 beats, but if I use 20,000 guitar loops, I would have 20,000 beats, permitting they're all the same interest to me.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just thinking about how crazy the numbers are right now and how easy it is to get loops and stuff. I'm like, God, bro, man. And then plus, you know, we got scalar and melodyne that no one seems to understand what I can transform that into. You know, I'm very happy. Like I feel like a kid again. I feel like I turned 16 all over again because I let go of what the internet normal was or the culture normal is. And you know, we start seeing people lie to us. You know, some of our favorite personalities are hiding plugins or hiding methods or acting like it's not Cthulhu and all these things. And I was like, God damn, I started a YouTube channel because I hate that shit. But I'm still, you know, stuck in the box of that not only just the box of them hiding, but the box of what's acceptable in their world. And I'm like, I don't even need that from them. I don't even need the people who like them to like me. Like you get into a scary space, bro, because like I said, the internet and the title list and, you know, the cream will always rise to the top. I was like, I can just get a whole different fan base. Y'all can drown with the ship of waiting for the next exclusive USB stick. I'm out of here, boss. I'm flying, bro. So I'm glad there's people like you out there who understand that part of the creatives go to after a certain amount of time. Like you hit a certain threshold where it's like, when people usually say like there are no rules or there is no spoon, it means something different for everybody.
Yeah, it really does. I have I started fucking with Discord recently. I have like I have my own group, and then I started cruising around different producer groups because I know that that's a younger demographic, and I'm interested in what they're thinking, even if I'm just lurking. And I was in one server, and everybody this was really focused on selling beats and you know, how to get your music out and all this stuff. And I asked that, you know, I just posed the question, tried to not do it in a dickhead manner, you know, but I just asked them, like, you know, guys, you know, do you ever think about focusing your energy not on rappers? You know, like, you guys, you're musicians. There's so many different things that you could sell, and you guys really put a lot of energy into selling to rappers. Like, what is it? Is it the ego? Do you want to be the famous producer? Like, serious question. I appreciate anybody who answers this. No troll. And a lot, and it's a good group. It's not a whole bunch of defensive jits. And you know, a lot of people were very honest. You know, they were like, they didn't say that the approval of the rapper meant it, but from all of their responses, what I learned was the ultimate feeling was the approval of the rapper. That was like, that's what they want. They want to hear a voice on their beat. And it was really weird once I put myself in my selfish space, and I was like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to approach it this way. I was like, you know what, I know somebody who I want to hear on my music. And I just reached out to him. I sent him the 8 beats, and in next week he's gonna have them all back to me, you know, and I have an EP produced, you know, and I did it, and I did it in a month and a half. And I really think that when it comes to music more than anything else, it's really where you put yourself. If you catch a wind where, like you said, whenever you go into this mode, you sell more beats, like, that's your, like, if you want to sell beats, then that's your bag to get into, to sell the beats. If I want rappers to rap on my stuff, like, I can't do Cash Money AP type sounds. I can't do you know, Zaytoven type sounds. I have to do fucking Wu-Tang on top of trap. Like, that's what people, when they hear it from me, and they're gonna be blown away by it. That's what they'll love. And that was just that was just a recent lesson. But I think that just for the people who are watching, the people on your stream and my stream, I would want to, what I'm getting at is, I would want to, you know, like, implore you, like, please, bro, try it. Like, try, just be like give yourself like, if you're not selling beats and you're hitting a wall and you don't know what the fuck you're doing, just try being selfish. Try trusting your own taste. You know what I mean? Like, don't worry about what fucking 808 I'm using. Get your library, listen to all the 808s. Which one do you like, bro? You know what I mean? Which one stands out to you? Put that in your template and run with it. You know what I mean? Like which loops do you like? Don't care about what sample pack I'm using. Did you find some abstract sample pack that you like? Fucking flip them shits, man. See what happens. And I have a tendency to believe, I don't know why it happens, but when you line your spirit up with that and you buy into your own power and your own confidence, that's how you make the connection with other people, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's genuine, because you're not lying at that point. You know what I mean? People are like, you know, people sense whether they can articulate it or not. They sense like, wow, this is you, you know?
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I just think what that looked like for me is probably much different than what you're describing. Unfortunately, I got the curse.
How so?
Because I'm bro. Listen, I I don't want the Illuminati to come get me.
Oh,
I just don't think. I just don't think it. I just don't. It has never been that way for me. My skill set or my gift is such a useless skill set and gift. If you look at it in terms of results, and I think that's why I lean on YouTube and teaching and helping other people.
Oh, we lost MG. Goddamn. CeeLo Hollywood says, I want to hear my shit on the radio. I would like to hear my shit on the radio, but at the same time, like I don't make the type of music that would wind up on the radio. I make the hard hitting, thought provoking album cut. That's my vibe. Bang Entertainment says, I always felt that you gotta be you, but it seems when you be you, they hate you. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true at all. Do you have an example of that? Hold on, we gonna get him back. Hold up. Here's my Gmail. Yo, Inception. Bang, what do you think is example of that where you're talking about someone trying to be themselves and people hating them? Damn, dog. The Illuminati done got MG, bro. When I do some different type shit, they always get the response of "that's cool," but that don't sound like the radio. Well, I mean that's because it's what we were talking about with people getting permission to be to be different, to be themselves, or just to just to try something new. A lot of that will scare some people off, but the great thing about it is when you stick with it and you finally break through, and you get a placement that you wanted, or you get a or you get an opportunity that you were looking for, it feels so much better because you're so much more prouder of that, because it's that thing that you always wanted to do. You created from a selfish space, rather than like, oh man, I melodined this chord progression, and and change some of the notes, and I was able to get $300 from this from this lease or whatever. Damn, bro. Oh, it looks like the Illuminati done cut our show short, bro. Nah, the mainstream engages with different. That's 100% false, bro. Is it's definitely because they're they're at the they're the ones that change everything. They're the ones that everybody follows, when when trap came out, that shit was as different as you could get as far as hip hop was concerned. And now it's so mainstream that the perspective is that you can't make any type of hip hop album without it being half trap. So that's definitely not true. It's just it's just not perceived wisdom. As soon as he said Illuminati, everything got shut down. Yeah, no, it definitely is all about marketing. You could take anything and make it, and put it to market and sell it. But I appreciate you guys dropping by the stream, man. We're going to be back next Sunday with more content. Anything that you guys want to hear us talk about, hit us, start texting us or not texting us, start tweeting us on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. You know what I mean? So we get a little bit more interactive with you guys, maybe tackle some of your questions. This is CMP with Craftmaster Productions, Studio1tutorials.com. Keep it simple, but don't be basic. And we will see you on the next.